I'm planning on abandoning my family as soon as I turn 18. Plus updates. Original post. My family sucks. I, 17 male, will turn 18 in 2 weeks and I'm getting the heck out of here as soon as the clock strikes midnight. My parents have extreme bias towards my younger brothers, 16 and 15 male. It's been like this forever. I have no idea why. I've always been the one who had to do all the chores in the house. I also have always been forced to play every single sport I possibly could, to the point where my schedule was packed 365 days a year. My father told me it would teach me to be a real man. But my brothers never had to do any of those. They're both fat, lazy bums who sit around and play video games all day and all night. They miss school at least 30% of the year and are constantly spoiled rotten by my parents. They already have thousands of dollars from birthdays, Christmas, and other holidays. As soon as I turned 12, I was told I would no longer ever be receiving gifts from my parents other than bare essentials. I was told I had to pay for my phone and any other expenses I wanted to own, and to never ever ask for anything. I wasn't able to own a phone or anything really special for myself until I was 16. Because I couldn't find any actual jobs that paid good money. My parents also expect me to take care of my younger brothers when I'm an adult. My younger brothers have both decided they will not be going to college and do not plan on working a day in their lives. My father told me, "We kept you alive. You owe it to us." Screw you. I'm leaving a nasty letter on the table when I leave and changing my phone number, emails, and everything. They will never be able to contact me no matter how hard they try. I know my younger brothers are gonna be screwed for life, since they have zero experience in how to survive in the real world, but I don't care. That's my parents' burden now. I hope they go broke from having to fund my brothers' lifestyles, and I hope they lose everything. I have no sympathy for these people and I will never feel bad no matter what happens to them. The only thing I owe my parents is the fact that because of the crappy treatment over the years, I am well capable of surviving on my own in the world. I'll be going to college to study finance in Virginia, and they have no idea I've been accepted to any college, never even asked. And I'm also very physically fit due to playing 6 sports a year. However, the trauma will never go away. They took away my entire childhood, and I will never forgive them for it. They can all go screw themselves. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. From the sounds of it, you will do fine. If your dad moans, tell him that you're doing what a man should do, making his own path in life. You don't owe them anything. Honestly, sounds like Opie got the best out of a crappy situation. Also, sounds like Opie should do a DNA test. One suggestion I have for you when you're out before you change your phone number. Contact your local police non-emergency line and tell them you are not missing and that you chose to leave. That you don't want contact with your family. Make sure they understand you're not missing, even if your parents give them their names to try and report you missing. Hey, thanks for the advice. I was thinking about this last night after posting this. It's very strange that they treat you so different, but you have no explanation as to why. Other times I have heard stories like this. It was because the child did not actually belong to one of the parents, usually the father. Ever had a DNA test? I was gonna say the same. Seems like the usual explanation for these scenarios when the difference in treatment between siblings is huge. I'm curious about whether Opie's mom is as harsh as the father. Really disgusting what primitive animals people are. I got the same treatment in my house after my dad remarried and had kids with my stepmom, and it was him doing it, not her, until he kicked me out at 17. Then I stayed with my aunt and uncle. Exact same treatment there because I wasn't either of theirs. In fact, I got a speech my first day there. You're not one of our kids and we're not going to pretend you are. So don't complain that is not fair later because we're telling you right now. It's not going to be. Verbatim. I'll never forget it. They seemed to go out of their way to humiliate me and make sure I was subordinate to their younger, very poorly behaved, spoiled, rotten kids. Went out somewhere once and left their 12-year-old son in charge of me, 17 at a time. Normal people hire 17-year-olds they're not even related to be in charge of their children when they're away, but they had to make sure I and their kids knew how worthless I was. Amazing. Now for the first update 2 weeks later. I'm happy to report that I am officially gone. So the last 2 weeks after I made this post have been crazy stressful, but I'll sum them up here. I changed my number a few days ago by calling my SIM card provider. Then I went and got a copy of my birth certificate since I don't know where my actual birth certificate was. I couldn't just ask my parents. And I also made sure to check that my bank account was secure and not shared with my parents. I purchased a plane ticket last week to fly in Dulles International Airport in Virginia, just outside of where I'll be attending college in Fairfax. Finally, I called one of my cousins whom I am very close with and asked him to please pick me up at around 12:30 a.m. last night. He agreed with my decision to leave and told me he was proud of me for taking action to improve my life. I packed my stuff up after everyone had gone to sleep and waited. I decided to keep my note to my family short and sweet. All I wrote down was that I was moving to go to college in California, LMAO, and that I was never coming back. So last night, my cousin picked me up. We went to the police station where I gave them my proper identification and informed them that I am not missing, and I'm leaving on my own accord now that I'm 18. They told me they'll keep it in mind and will watch out for that potential call in the next few days. I got a few hours of sleep at my cousin's and then flew out of New Orleans International at 6 a.m. I am now sitting in my college dorm 950 miles from home, and I've never been happier in my life. I can't wait to meet new people and finally enjoy my youth. Thank you to everyone who gave me great advice on here and commented their support. I didn't expect this post to take off like it did, but I'm happy my story has affected so many. I will update again in a few weeks. Second update, September 8, 2022. This post took off again these past 2 days. My phone has been blowing up with demands for an update, so I shall deliver. Life has been good. I've been in contact with a cousin who helped me and also a few other family members from back home. He said that my mother came to their house the day after I left to talk to my aunt about me leaving. She cried and gave my aunt this whole sub-story about how she can't believe I would abandon them. And my aunt told her maybe she shouldn't have treated me so wrongly throughout my whole life, which caused a huge fight and ended with my mom being thrown out of their house. So it seems me leaving has caused pretty much the uproar I imagined. I've been doing well, met plenty of new people, and made friends via classes and dorm neighbors. I'm in a better mental state that I've been in a very long time. I feel so relieved, and it just feels like a huge weight is lifted off my shoulders. It feels so good coming on here and reading all the support and positive comments I'm receiving. I'm really grateful for this community. I will continue posting updates in weeks to come. Thanks for everything, everyone. I don't understand what the parents' endgame was here. Why the hell would they treat their oldest son like an adult from the age of 12 onward and make their other kids absolutely incapable of dealing with life? What was the point of that? I bet $20 OP wasn't a planned child, or the parents have this firstborn child responsibility mindset. Or he wasn't the father's child. Maybe mom only married dad after she had been knocked up by someone else? That's where my mind went also. A fair kid. Even if it's true that the 4 other person of the family are POS, I hope OP is getting better and better. We kept you alive. You owe it to us. So, they thought they could grow their own slave? I really hate how common this garbage is. Kept him alive. Were they planning to end him or let him die? WTF. Scary wording that I don't want to diagnose. She cried and gave my aunt this whole sob story about how she can't believe I would abandon them. And my aunt told her maybe she shouldn't have treated me so wrongly throughout my whole life, which caused a huge fight and ended with my mom being thrown out of their house. Can we take a moment to appreciate the aunt saying a, well, if it isn't consequences of your actions, and get the hell out of my house with your lying denying BS. Yeah, the aunt and cousin are also some real stars here. It's good that OP wasn't entirely alone in that family, even if his immediate one sucked. I'm choosing to believe his extended family was all waiting on his 18th birthday to start giving just desserts. Nothing OP said sounds egregious enough that any kind of law would care about it. Last story. Can my parents force a paternity test? Original post. My wife was assaulted. She got pregnant, and the baby could be mine or the offender, but we decided to keep the baby and raise it as mine. We never want to have a paternity test done on the baby because this could be devastating to her relationship with my wife. I'm a massive moron, and after my daughter was born, I let slip to my parents that she might not be mine biologically. I tried to backtrack, but my parents kept pushing and pushing until my wife sat them down and explained the situation. They do not believe her. They think she cheated and that she's using me. Now, my parents have approached me about taking a paternity test, They want me to contest paternity and leave my wife. I do not want to. I made a commitment to my wife and daughter and I stand by it. I trust my wife, but my parents don't. They told me that if I refuse, they will go to court and compel me to do a paternity test to absolve me of responsibility for the baby. They want me to leave my wife regardless. I am planning to cut contact with my parents over this, but is there any way that they can legitimately force me to do a paternity test? Is there something I can do to prevent this or fight them? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Your parents have no standing or say in this matter and cannot compel you to do a paternity test. But they could take a swab from the child on the sly and test whether they're genetically related to him/her, which would have the same result for the wife's relationship with the child in the end. Yes, OP might not want them to have access to his kid and maybe block all contact with his parents. They cannot compel a paternity test. It's probably wise to deny them any access to your daughter. They might try to swab her and have a test done. They wouldn't necessarily need a sample from you. They could test to see if she was genetically related to themselves. They probably wouldn't be able to take any legal action with the results, but it still seems like something you would prefer to prevent. Edited to add, you should be aware that if your daughter is not biologically related to you, she will likely discover it someday. With lots of genetic testing opportunities now available, it's not as possible as it once was to keep genetic sanguinity skeletons in a closet. If she's a baby now, it will be many years before this is likely to be an issue, and it won't change your legal paternity. But as she approaches adulthood, you and your wife should decide if you'd rather discuss it with your daughter or risk her finding out another way. This is scary. We will keep this in mind. Nothing your parents want in this situation is relevant. In your shoes, if you're up for confrontation, I would be very tempted to sit down and explain that if they do not drop this, not only will they not have a relationship with your child, but they also will not have a relationship with you, because you are not willing to tolerate this inappropriate intrusion in your personal life. People don't like having boundaries enforced on them, and this conversation will end badly. However, once your parents have cooled down, either they will accept your decision or they won't. If they don't, then follow through. Legally speaking, they have no standing. They'd have to be either of the purported fathers to do that, or to have some kind of legal right, such as guardianship, to look out for the father's rights. As your parents, they don't have that. Even if you were a minor, this is largely your and your wife's call. If your parents somehow actually find a lawyer willing to entertain this, or proceed pro se, and file an actual paternity suit, have a lawyer handle your response. The lawyer is there both for professional insights and for emotional distance, to provide a less invested perspective to help you decide how to proceed. And now for the update. I'd like to take a minute to say thank you to everyone who responded to my last post. Your advice helped prepare me for what came next. Pretty soon after I posted, I received a letter in the mail from a lawyer that basically said that my parents were demanding a paternity test on the basis of grandparents' rights. I knew from my post that it was unlikely that a lawyer would take this case, so I googled the law firm and lawyer's name. I couldn't find a lawyer's name anywhere, but the law firm was real, so I reached out to them. The letter was fake and the law firm was not happy. They asked for the letter and are pursuing some sort of legal action against my parents. I don't know exactly what's happening as I have not been in contact with my parents in a while. In other news, my daughter was recently diagnosed with a very minor skin condition that is fairly uncommon and that I also have, which means she's most likely mine after all. We still won't be doing a paternity test anytime soon, but it was helpful for our peace of mind. Thanks again for the advice, everyone. Something tells me the parents have other qualities that would justify no contact. A tendency to commit fraud and pick their targets really poorly. I mean, lawyers? They went and pissed off lawyers? All what's left for them to do is to cut down someone else's tree. I'll bet that law firm uses burying his parents as a fun team-building exercise. I'm imagining them all getting together in the lunchroom around noon for recess. Okay, today's fun activity is demolishing a couple of cold-hearted soon-to-be grandparents. Ex-grandparents. Sounds like he's divorcing them. I would bet my right kidney that if they had stayed in touch with his parents with visitations and such, that they would have gone and done a test of the kid behind his back. What disgusting people. Hope karma and his lawyers serve them right. If they were smart enough, they wouldn't have said a thing to Opie and would have done it without telling him. But hopefully they're not smart. They're even stupid enough to take a law firm's name to make a false letter.